Moving forward, our next session, Markets as Engines for Resilient, Inclusive and Circular System, focuses on role of markets in reducing food loss and food waste. To begin the session, I would like to invite Shri Ram Kumar Gautam, IS, Managing Director at Himachal Pradesh State Agriculture Marketing Board, to deliver the keynote address. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, this is the post-lunch session, so I will not take much time. You can then see another panel discussion. So I feel privileged today to be here amongst all of you and participating in this Reset 2026 dialogue, how to reduce food loss, food waste, by way of strengthening markets as engine of growth, as resilient, inclusive and circulative market system, supply chain management in food industry. So I will share a little bit experience of Himachal Pradesh as well as whatever we are learning since morning here, and then I will conclude my address. As all we know, food is basic necessity of life, as we all know. In our ancient culture, what we have learned regarding food consumption, whenever we consume food across any community, across any religion, we used to worship it because it nourishes our body, it nourishes our system, it nourishes our community. And we used to say food is nothing but it's a nutrition for Annakosha. In our religious scriptures, if we go, it is written that our body of every human being, every animal, and any creature that is made of food, whatever type of food that animal eats. So food is necessity of life, and in our ancient culture that we inherited, and when we moved out that culture to now modern life, we have lost few things, few necessary values we used to worship earlier. And I think that's why we are now today thinking of why this food loss and food waste. Earlier in our ancient culture, and we have seen our social life also, we never used to waste our food. Whatever we want to eat, we just complete that diet, that bit of food, and we eat that. We never wasted in our plates. Never food was wasted. That was going to the waste management system. But nowadays, if we see the modern society and modern this younger generation, we see that they will try to taste the food, and once they don't find it good, they will just throw it out, and that will go as a waste food. So we have to think, whatever values we were having earlier, we have moved from that system to the modern system. Now, in case of marketing system, I'll straightway come to marketing system. We have seen our mandis everywhere in the state, everywhere in the country. We find that our marketing system, the mandis we built, can we think whether these are capable of handling the system, handling the food supply, handling the food products that are getting to markets? The answer is, I think we have to think about how we construct our mandis in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the requirement of the today's requirement. Just like suppose if you go to the Ajatpur mandi, we have seen in the Delhi, or any mandi, any small mandi in any state, any part of our country, we'll see that this is not constructed as per our requirement. So we find that there are infrastructural gaps, first of all. Whatever requirements, whatever necessary things, infrastructure point of view that are required in that mandi, that are lacking, first of all. Another thing is the stakeholders, the mandi. We have seen there are many, mandi system is a very complex system. There are multi-dimensional stakeholders, right from the farmers, right from the marketing agent, right from the buyers, right from the transporters, then you this loading, unloading labors, and lot many. So we have seen that none of these stakeholders are aware of these food loss, food waste, and we have to make these people aware about these things. If we want to be successful in our mission, that we have to minimize the food loss, food waste. So we have to make these people aware, and we have to make these people, this system, this supply chain system as a integrated chain, not a single individual. Suppose I am the transporter, I will just look forward for my profit. If I am the laborer, I will look forward for my profit. So none is thinking about the food loss. None is responsible or accountable for the food loss or food waste. So this is another challenge that we are facing in the marketing system practically. What we are facing in the ground level, but we are seeing that day-to-day functioning of the marketing system, but these are the issues. Another thing is that if you go to any marketing committee or marketing this mandi, then we'll find that there is a gap in linkage also. Suppose the farmer is coming with his produce from his farm and coming to the mandi, then that marketing agent who is sitting there or any stakeholder sitting there for purchase of his produce, then there will be a disruption in the information basically. What is happening that the marketing agent sitting in one mandi, he is not connected with the marketing agent sitting in another mandi or any buyer in the another mandi. The government has launched a very good system, eNAM, but we call eNAM, National Agriculture Marketing System, throughout throughout the country, and making the whole country as a one market. But practically, what we are feeling there also, that the market agent in one mandi are not connected with the market agent in another mandi. Suppose the farmer comes to one mandi, say in Shimla, Himachal Pradesh, he has the garlic crop. He wants to sell his crop because the market is in Tamil Nadu, in Bangalore, in Maharashtra, where this produce will go. Then there is no access of this farmer to the market agent or a buyer sitting in that mandi. So that link is still missing, though the government has taken so many steps. Digital transformation is there, another things are there, but still there are the implementation problem. The reason being, because this is a state subject, agriculture, and every state has its own law, own legal system. So sometimes this legal system, they debar the person from other state to become agent in the another state. So the person sitting in Maharashtra, he can't be added as a marketing agent in Himachal Pradesh. So that's the problem, that's the challenge we are facing today, and the solutions we are now finding. Now we will talk about these solutions also. Just like in Himachal, what we are doing now. When Himachal was founded in the 1972, then we saw that there was no mandi at that stage. We have moved from that stage to today's stage that we are finding the CA stores, controlled and stores in Himachal Pradesh, not in the public sector, but in the private sectors also. So the one thing I want to just say here, that if we want to strengthen, if we want to make markets as engine for this inclusive and resilient growth and circulative growth in food supply chain management, then we have to first consider end-to-end CA store system throughout the country, throughout the market. What is happening? Suppose the farmer is producing the crop. He is taking the crop from his field to the mandi. Then from taking crop from the field to the mandi, if the state is like Himachal state or any hilly state, that it will take 4 days. And in transportation from one station to the mandi station, I think 20% or less than 30% loss, I suppose there will be this type of loss. So, but we are now doing in Himachal Pradesh, we are just having this system that we are motivating the farmer that his crop will be purchased at the farm level only, and it will be transported through the reefer vans or refrigeration vehicles to the mandi. In mandi, then we will have the CA system, controlled and storage system, and from there it will go to the market through the refrigeration vans. So there will be less loss as compared to the earlier system. We can't reduce the loss to zero, but we can minimize the loss at the possible level, whatever we are having, to 1%, 2%, 3%, not more than 5%. That is the one system. Another system that will make our system, that will make a market infrastructure system more resilient to the any climatic change or social change or any other shocks, economic shocks comes, something else comes, then our system will handle this problem. Suppose there is a demand and supply disruption. More supply, less demand. The price will come down. Farmer will get the less price. So this type of system, if we construct this type of system, end-to-end CS store system, then that will take care of such type of a disruption in the supply chain management. Similarly, for inclusive growth, we have to take all the stakeholders in the society, just like women, just like SC, ST, just like other minority classes, small and marginal farmers, that we have to take along with us. For doing that, now government has started forming this farmer producer organization. They are making it on the basis of just like a company system. In the corporate sector, the company works, FPO works on that system only. And they are being hand-held. Their hand-holding is being done so that they learn how to make their, how to take the crop from farm to the mandi, and how to sell in the mandi, and how to make their farm, their FPOs in profit, to bring them to profit nature, so that farmers get more money as compared to earlier. Similarly, just like for the circular system, if we want to see that the loss or waste is to be converted into value, it is given value, it is, some value is added to this waste, or it is converted into wealth, then there should be some waste management system in every mandi system. Nowadays, we see that we go to Ajadpur mandi, that is one of the biggest mandi in northern region, and all the produce from Himachal, that also comes there. So we have seen there is lot of wastage, lot of food stuff lying here and there. Okay, just I will take 1 minute to close up this system. So what is happening that we have to make our stakeholders aware. In Himachal, we have taken this initiative that we have to segregate the waste first. If we mix the waste with the organic waste, with the inorganic waste, with the compostable waste, with the non-compostable, then it is never, there is no technology as of today that we can recycle the waste and convert it into the wealth. So we have to focus on these issues and these initiatives and strategy in order to make our markets more resilient, more inclusive and circulative in nature, so that we can reduce the food loss, we can convert the waste into wealth. So I will just give a call that wherever we are working in the agriculture sector, and whatever small nudging we can do at any stage, we should do that in order to achieve this vision. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your address and for sharing the perspectives on strengthening agricultural markets and reducing food loss. We'll now move on to the context-setting presentation. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Meeta Punjabi, Senior Food Systems Officer at United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. As the nodal officer for value chain and food loss and waste in Asia and the Pacific region, she has been closely involved in several regional and country-level initiatives aimed at addressing food loss and waste. Today, she'll be setting the context on reducing food loss and food waste at India's wholesale market. Over to you, Dr. Meeta.
Thank you. Thank you to WRI for this amazing workshop, and also to my previous speaker to setting the stage for the philosophy of food waste and also the practical challenges that we are facing. So moving ahead, just, sorry, I have the thing here. Point to where? So where should I be pointing? Here itself? Okay. So this, I think, is a very important slide where the General Secretary of the UN, he mentions methane as the fastest brake that we can pull on climate impact. As we all know that food waste actually generates methane, which is a very, very potent, much more potent than carbon dioxide for climate impact. So, that's a very important call to action. And accordingly, we also have some of the initiatives or the global initiatives on methane in the COP29, in COP30, we have the Global Methane Hub, and several international conventions are now calling for a reduction in methanes in a very targeted manner. So, when we are talking of methane, why are we talking as wholesale markets as an entry point? There are very important reasons for it. Because if you, almost 60% of the food waste that is generated is at the household level. But a lot of people sitting here and more discussions on it tomorrow, how easy or how difficult it is to aggregate waste at a household level, okay? So here you have a bulk waste generator, which it's a one-point source, so easy to target the food waste at scale. And also in a lot of the work on urban food systems globally, the wholesale markets are looked upon as a very important entry point for climate, but also for food security, which we haven't heard about a lot, but food banking is very closely related to wholesale markets and also the climate impact. And so just, very briefly, we've heard Azadpur Mandi, the organic waste could go up to about 100 tons per day. And if you convert it to energy, that energy, the gross revenue could be generated about $3,500 per day, okay? And we have numbers. We have all the calculations which have been done. And so we had done a first of its kind study in India along with COSAM. Dr. Yadav is here. He's also leading the work along with our other colleagues to go into a wholesale market and actually estimate what the food loss and food waste is. If you think that's easy, very, very difficult to do. But we were able to come up with some first guesstimates and also estimate the amount of methane emissions, the carbon emissions from it. So, we have an overview of the actual numbers. And also, how are these mandis performing? So we had 8 to 10 case studies. How are they performing when it comes to the solid waste management compliances? And we saw that it was really quite weak. Some pictures, I think Taka puts it very well. Sometimes the markets seem like a restaurant for cows, and not all markets in India are there are different kinds, different levels of cleanliness, but just to highlight that it is a very big challenge. And if we go into the wholesale markets, in the morning also, the situation of food loss, food waste, and its linkages with food safety came out very, very strongly. So, moving ahead, we will have, so high food loss will be there if you don't have food safety regulations. So these issues are interlinked with capacity building, interlinked with infrastructure, and cannot be delinked from each other. But, so on the positive side, I think these are pictures from Haryana, where we are seeing some, new investments coming up in modern wholesale markets as well, and that is the area that we should move towards. We mentioned the Surat city as a best practice in circular bioeconomy. They have a 50-ton methane plant, 50 tons per day capacity, which has been functional for 10 years now. So it's not something very new. We have worked out the finances for it, the techno-feasibility for it, fully viable functional model, okay? And additionally, the wholesale market also has a processing unit. They don't have a cold store, but they are processing the food waste, the losses which are there or which don't go to the, which are not sold. And we did some estimates at a national level. These numbers are not small. By just entering into the wholesale markets, what is the carbon impact? What could be the impact on food safety? food security, and also earnings, potential earnings from carbon credits, potential generation of clean energy. We have a draft report which will be coming out in a few months. And based on these findings, so Surat is not the only model. There are other models in the country. We're just showcasing one. And we had organized like a regional workshop, bringing the people from the Asia Pacific region to Surat to see their model. And finally, we now have follow-up activities as well. And we have a regional initiative, but we'll also probably have a global initiative soon, because even countries like Brazil and other Latin American countries are very interested in learning about these models. So we have, like what we are working with the few select wholesale markets in the region to develop for them an operational plan for managing their food loss and food waste. So we will not be doing the investments actually required, but doing all the assessments just to put in place, a methodology, like how does a wholesale market start, assess its food loss, assess its food waste, design what can be salvaged, what can go for human consumption, what needs to go as waste. So those are some of the initiatives which we are already taking up, plus wholesale markets as a linkage to urban food systems. So without too much time, I will stop here, and that was just an overview of some of our recent work. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Meeta, for providing the context for the discussion and sharing key insights on the role of wholesale markets in reducing food loss and food waste. Also, a special thanks to FAO for being our thematic partner for this session. We now move to the panel discussion. Also, this session will be moderated by Dr. Meeta Punjabi. May I also request to please join us on the stage. And to join her on the stage, we have request our esteemed panelist, Dr. Jagveer Singh Yadav, Managing Director, National Council of State Agricultural Marketing Board. With over 4 decades of experience in agriculture marketing, Dr. Yadav has worked extensively on modernizing wholesale markets, strengthening market infrastructure, and reducing food loss. He also serves as an expert consultant to FAO on food loss and waste management in wholesale markets across India. Welcome, Dr. Yadav. Next, we have Dr. Tripti Agarwal, Associate Professor of Environmental Sciences at National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management. Her research focuses on circular bioeconomy solutions, sustainable biomass management, greenhouse gas assessment from food loss and waste, and resource recovery to support more sustainable agri-food systems. Welcome, Dr. Tripti. Next, we have Dr. Narsaiah Kairam, Assistant Director General, Process Engineering in Agriculture Engineering Division at Indian Council of Agricultural Research. With over 25 years of experience in post-harvest management, food engineering, and processing technologies, his work focuses on advancing innovations that improve food processing, reduce post-harvest losses, and strengthen resilient agri-food systems. Next, we have Dheeraj Sandasini, Technical Advisor, Waste and Methane at C40 Cities. He has been leading the Transforming Cities Waste Management Program for C40 network cities, including Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Chennai, and Bangalore. Lastly, we have Dr. Pravatsu Rambabu. He is joining online. Dr. Pravatsu Rambabu is advisor at Purena. He has over 40 years of experience in consulting, research, and teaching in governance, sustainability, and climate change. Over to you, Dr. Meeta, for leading the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and really, really grateful to have the opportunity for this very esteemed panel moderation, and we will look into various aspects of the wholesale market. So my first question is for Dr. Yadav, and he has been a stalwart in the field of wholesale markets for many decades. Dr. Yadav, what do you see as the key operational inefficiencies leading to high levels of food loss and food waste, and what, according to you, could be some actions also in terms of investments to help address these issues?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. You have asked a very big question, and has to be answered in 4 minutes is really very tough, Because first you understand Indian context of market. My colleague Dr. Mann was asking me, this kind of picture we have never seen in America or Europe. First of all, try to understand first basic fundamental difference is Indian subcontinent markets are farmers-oriented markets. They are not consumer-oriented markets. And therefore, the infrastructure what we design largely focus on farmers. Contrary to this, if you go to Europe or any part of the world, the markets are different. Now, when we say inefficiencies in the Indian system or inefficiencies in wholesale markets, I'm more particularly focusing on fruit and vegetable markets. You see, though we are regulated, but in the name of regulated, we are virtually unregulated. Say, for example, I say inclusiveness. Who is the partner who brings the material to the market? In the name of farmer, everyone will say farmer brings the material to markets. Unfortunately, in India, fruit and vegetable, say fruit for example, almost 70 to 80% orchards now are with contract, we call it pre-harvest contractors. So farmer doesn't come to the market virtually. In the name of farmer, there are aggregator, there are a lot of entities which are neither registered in market, nor registered in APMCs in forward side or backward side. So there are 5, 6 entities which are unregistered, so we don't have any control. Similarly, on a forward side, we have only 2 registered entities, wholesaler and commission agents. Rest of the entries like Mashakor is not registered anywhere, retailers is not registered anywhere, the aggregator transporter is not registered anywhere, transit traders is not registered anywhere. And unfortunately, in Indian markets, transit trade is a big issue. When we say transit trade, it is directly linked with the loss and waste. Why? Because in our market, the functions of regrading, re-shorting, repacking, reloading, re-chopping, redressing, everything has to be done in the market. And therefore, the leftover becomes the waste. So we have a greater role to play. Unlike Europe, if you say the structure of basket of waste in India and Europe, you won't find 2 to 3%, maximum 4, 5% is wet waste organic. There the structure is, they have cardboard box, they have plastics or thermocol or pellets, but hardly the waste. Whereas in our structure, in our latest study, ma'am, we have found that 94% is net wet waste. In our Kesapur market, which we are undertaking under your guidance, very recently we came to know that this is only 4, 5, 6% which is non-organic. So our structure is different, therefore a lot of inefficiencies. Sorry for taking much of time. Thank you.
Thank you for those insights. I will go to our colleague from ICAR. And we understand that ICAR has developed several technologies we've been hearing since morning on storage, handling practices. Is there something very relevant in terms of technologies that can be integrated into the functioning of the wholesale markets to reduce food loss and waste?
Yeah, thank you. So I thank WRI for this opportunity, and I will start with the reset. Like in agriculture, many times our mindset, most of the stakeholders' mindset is up to production or how much is the production. That only their main focus. So we need a reset. Like agri-food systems focus is there in this one. So that reset is needed for many stakeholders. With that, I start, and in ICR we are developing lot of technologies for example, like we have developed a technology for cauliflower. lot of wastage is there at wholesale mandi. So we have developed how to reduce that one. At one point, it will be all the wastage, the non-edible part will be removed and it can be collected with a machine. So that kind of technologies can be integrated, as well as we are developing lot of technologies for evaluation of quality, and when the product enters the wholesale market, like let us say mandi or there, when the product is aggregated, we need to have cleaning, grading and sorting systems, so that the waste or other parts are removed and the shelf life of the produce increases. As well as for grains and other durables also, we are advocating for drying and cleaning systems when they are taking into warehouse. So near storage, this quality evaluation as well as mitigation measures, if we take these kind of technologies we are developing, and we can integrate into these systems, so that they will be efficiently handled, and the shelf life of produce will be more, and we retain the value, as well as for farmer it will be beneficial in the long run. So these are the things.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. And really, we need a reset to a food systems perspective, so that, we start looking at the entire system and not just the value chain. So we've been hearing since morning, right? A value chain is now a circular economy. So we all need to be aware of how we can move from the value chains to the circular economy to capitalize on the food loss and waste. Dr. Tripti, I can move to you, and I understand in your organization there has been a lot of research on GHG emissions from food loss for various crops. So, like in the entire value chain, how does the wholesale market contribute to the GHG emissions? If you can shed some light on that.
Yeah. Thanks for this question. I mean, I would say, there's no definite answer to this. And why? Because our estimates, our calculations are based on the data which is available, for the losses basically, and largely the study backs by the data which is given by the NAPCON study, which has been referred several times since morning. And when you look at the data, the wholesale market is one part of the study, but not in depth. Data is available. Certainly we understand that the value chain has a lot of stages, and the depth which has been given in that study is a lot, but still when we talk about only the wholesale market, the depth is very less. And when you look at the data at the wholesale market, it says it varies from maybe 0.2%, 0.1% to 1.2%, 1.5% also, depending upon the commodity. Fruits and vegetables have higher losses as compared to the grains. But again, if we don't look at the percentage, we look at the volumes basically, then it translates to huge amount of greenhouse gas emissions. But still, there are gaps, I would say, because we are just looking at the volume and we are converting it into the greenhouse gas emissions. We are not looking at what you have showed in your introductory remarks, that how much is the methane which is happening once the food is getting rotten in the landfill. So that part is not covered. So when I give an answer to this, how is the market losses convert to the greenhouse gases, probably our values are not so much representative of actual emissions which are happening. So I would say that though and this losses, when we say 0.4%, 0.2% or 1.5%, the greenhouse gas emissions are also proportionate, but not exactly proportionate, because some commodities leads to more greenhouse gas emissions depending upon what are their emission factors. Okay. And also, when we go in the supply chain, move from production till a market or the retail stage, there are compounded emissions also. Because at each stage, the production, the commodities which we are talking about, more resources are getting used into it, more energy, and that translates into the greenhouse gas emissions which we basically measure. So what I see here is there's a lot of need to have a in-depth and comprehensive study on the marketplaces, and as I have heard from your remarks that the study is going on with FAO and COSAM, and probably that will give us more data, and we will be able to come with more precise kind of estimations of greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tripti, for those insights. And really, the more we know how much we don't know. So thank you so much. And I will move to Dr. Rambabu, who is available here online. Thank you for joining. And, you will be talking to us about carbon credits. But usually, we don't talk about this connection between carbon credits and food loss and food waste. So from your perspective, what is the potential? What are, if anything is happening actually on the ground, and how we can kind of capitalize on this potential? Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity and also agreeing to take me online. I definitely wanted to be present in person and interact with all of you, but so for some reason I had to stay back in Hyderabad. So sorry for that, and thanks for this opportunity. So most importantly, I think it is inappropriate that I'm just speaking next to what the previous speaker, Dr. Tripti, mentioned about the GHG emissions and the potential of GHG emission reduction by avoiding the food loss and food waste. So that's wonderful. I think India has its own nationally determined contributions under Paris Climate Agreement. And to be able to address these nationally determined contributions, and otherwise as we go forward to net zero, there is a significant emission reduction that is possible from the food loss, avoiding the food loss. And I think that most of you will work and take it forward, as Dr. Tripti already mentioned, that there is an FAO and COSAM work, to point out how much emission reductions are potentially possible, by avoiding the food loss. But what I am trying to address here is that once there is a loss and a waste, if that waste, rather than contributing to GHG emissions, if there is a way to use that waste to produce energy, and you are able to manage that waste without that waste emitting methane and many other environmentally harmful gases or compounds or whatever it is, So how to actually finance or how to actually monetize such emission reductions that are potentially possible by converting this waste into energy. So unlike the previous carbon credit regimes, under Paris Climate Agreement, each country has its own nationally determined contribution. So every emission reduction that is happening inside a country cannot be transferred outside the country for a credit, as a credit or as an offset, unless otherwise the country says, I will not count these emission reductions in my own nationally determined contributions. So Government of India has notified certain categories of projects which will be permitted to transfer the emission reductions outside the country, and those emission reductions will not be counted in our own accounts, countries' accounts, and cannot be accounted for the nationally determined contributions. And out of those 13 categories, one project category or one measure is the compressed CBG, compressed biogas. And that is precisely where your opportunity comes in. The food waste, can be turned into compressed biogas, and that compressed biogas opportunity is a significant opportunity. And since Government of India has already identified this as one of the 13 categories for which it will accord an approval with what technically they call as corresponding adjustments, it's a significant opportunity, and these emission reductions can be sent outside the country. And what is the quantum like? If you are putting up a 1 TPD plant, TPD is the output, I am not talking about the input, 1 TPD biogas plant, and if you are actually reducing emissions which otherwise would have happened due to the waste being disposed of and that emitting methane, if all the waste were to be disposed of to emit methane, then the emission reductions that you effect by doing a CBG project, which is of 1 TPD, is of the order of, for each ton, you are doing around a 10 tons of CO2 emission reductions. Or you will get around 10 credits per day, okay, for a TPD. So if I multiply that by around 300 operating days of that particular plant, it is a 3,000 credits for 1 TPD. If it is a 5 TPD, then you are talking about a 15,000 type of a credits. And each credit under Article 6, okay, is around today in the market, is around something like anywhere nearer to $20. $20 multiplied by for a 5 TPD plant, which is about 1,500 credits. So it will be a significant revenue that will add on, okay, for the viability and feasibility of that plant. In fact, it can actually, as far as revenue is concerned, the additional revenue coming out of the carbon for some of these plants can be up to something like a 25% additional revenue if the price is around $20. So that is the kind of support it can provide, and we have an opportunity here to put up many such plants because the kind of revenue support, and this revenue support can be translated into even a capital support. And already India has signed up a bilateral agreement with Japan and with South Korea and many more countries it is signing to actualize these opportunities. So there is a real opportunity to actually not exactly to reduce waste will reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but to manage waste so that this waste turns into energy, that is the compressed biogas. And that compressed biogas is an opportunity for which the emission reductions can be expected. Thank you. I'll stop at that, and if there are any questions further. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, just the numbers when we start doing the calculations are mind-boggling, and we are just beginning to document some of those. And last but not the least panelist, Dheeraj, you're working with C40, and even globally in our work, we see, wholesale markets at the heart of urban food systems transformation from food security perspective, from the perspective of climate impact. And so in your experience, have you seen any practical examples of this? We would love to hear.
Sure. I guess as you rightly pointed out in your introductory presentation itself that we call compliance to new solid waste management rules. But when we think about bulk waste generators, there are many, although they're defined by one single definition. But the contribution capacity of this segment, APMCs, markets, municipal level vegetable and fruit markets, is by far very high than the other bulk waste generators, simply because the type of waste that these are generating is food waste, is highly organic. And from climate impact point of view, which you asked, that's the single most important piece of work that needs to be diverted from landfills to reduce methane emissions. So I guess even the APMCs and the cities also should not look at these markets as one of bulk waste generators like any other. Rather, these markets are the resource hub, the feedstock hub, not the waste hub in itself. So that's the importance of the markets in terms of establishing circular systems at the city level. Also, when we talk about compliance versus circularity, so if you keep looking at things from a compliance perspective, it becomes very easy to check box that, okay, I have a OWC machine established, I have something to manage my waste at my premise, and you're done with it. Like there's no monitoring that follows because you're not really trying to create any value. You are just looking that as a expenditure line item in your budget, like I'm spending something on managing the waste. But the moment you think about circularity and these numbers that the previous speaker was talking about, you by yourself will think about, okay, I need to monitor, make quality control in place so that it can create value for me. The moment you think from those angles, everything will fall in place. If you keep following only the compliance part of it, then it's just for sake of it you are kind of doing it, and that's what we are finding cities doing that. So it's rather, for example, in Mumbai, I don't know if people are aware, but Mumbai is supposed to establish one of Asia's biggest bio-CNG plant, and it took them about a year or so just to finalize like where this feedstock will come from, right? Because it's for the city, if they do not provide a high quality organic waste to the operator, it's a penalty. And for the private operator, it's very important that he gets a high quality food waste organic, so that the numbers that we are talking about to generate that kind of biogas will not work if you are receiving mixed waste. So in that sense, these markets become your low hanging fruits. They are the ones that you target first. And all this compliance thing leads to what? Like we saw in Mumbai, there are things like the bulk waste generator hire a third party to dispose their waste and pay them. We ended up finding out that that third party ultimately disposes into the city's mainstream. So it becomes city's headache without city knowing it. And then city is trying to figure out where do I get my feedstock. So these parallel ecosystems are something that are not working well, and I guess needs to be solved. And I'll end by saying just last point on, since we're talking about how do they get into the circularity, from the Sarkari language, if we understand more, like three Fs we used to call, like funds, functions, and functionaries. I guess all three are missing. They are there in bits and pieces, but not like really in that sense that they all three work in it together. So you need dedicated budget. You need functions and functionaries very clearly, just dedicatedly working on this. Yeah, I guess I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. Really, I mean, even we have heard a lot that what was considered, like kuda is considered as a headache, is now being looked upon as a resource generating kind of an opportunity. And I think that is what is the biggest switch in mind, that a pile of kuda is not kuda, it is actually money. We do have limited time. What I thought, we would use the time to take the 1-minute reflection from the panel and then have some time for some burning questions. But we are all here and, we'll be happy to exchange with you. So I will go in the same order, and Dr. Yadav, I know you can talk. I call him that he can do a one-on-one on wholesale markets anytime, any place. But just two like critical action points that can be taken up to reduce or manage the food loss and waste in wholesale markets.
In my opinion, most important in investment in infrastructure, because that part is almost missing. One good market needs 2,000 crore and 200 acres, not below that. And that requires 2,000 crore means many states, they don't have even a budget of entire agriculture marketing. So the biggest issue is infrastructure and modern infrastructure. That's an investment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yadav. And over to you, Dr. Kera.
We have a lot of technologies available for reducing the post-harvest losses or waste reduction. But for translating these, we need a lot of investment. So here a lot of stakeholders are there from corporates also, where we must pool our resources together, like our research funds as well as CSR funds, as well as other institutions like WRI. We are working with WRI for demonstrating on-field our ICR technology. So we pool together our resources, expertise and everything so that we can demonstrate them. And if you invest in this processing and value addition and make this as a cooperative movement, like we have examples of Amul is there, Mahagrape is there, where these processing and value addition technologies are scaled up and the farmers are reaping benefits. So how we can replicate it in many places. So there are many opportunities. So if we come together, we can make a difference.
Absolutely. So scale up what we already know,
yeah,
and try to find means for doing that. Absolutely, well noted. Dr. Tripti, you want to?
I would like to say that we have to fill a lot of gaps basically in terms of data, and more comprehensive data set we need. And we have to not only look at the GHG emissions, we also have to look at other kind of environmental burdens which the food loss and waste has. In terms of like the virtual water, which we normally don't talk about, like the water which has been used in the life cycle of that particular product till it is reaching to a particular stage. We also have to look at the kind of other externalities like the land which has been used to produce that food to have a kind of more kind of comprehensive understanding of what is the meaning of the loss which is happening, and also the nutrition which is being lost in the form of the food which is being lost. So I think these gaps we have to fill sooner or later, and that would be really good. Yeah, thanks.
Great. And with research, we can show the numbers, which will help to generate or do the advocacy that we need to do. Dr. Rambabu, I would just like to ask you that we see this huge potential to capitalize on the carbon credit. Practically speaking, how can that be actualized?
Yeah, it was actualized in this country for most of our renewable energy built up in the very early days was through carbon kick. We call it carbon kicker. That made the investment worthy. And but post that you had Kyoto Protocol, which has gone down, and today you have the Paris Climate Agreement, which is kicking out now, and it is doing well. So as far as you are concerned, I think each market, as it was already pointed out, is an opportunity. I think we need to get into CBG opportunity, and we have been hearing out of the bilateral agreement that the India has signed with Japan. There is a lot of interest in the CBG projects because CBG is one of the lower hanging fruits for the emission reductions which can be exported outside the country. So there is a significant interest. I think COSAM and other stakeholders have to take very quick action, accelerated action, and look at this as a resource and immediately establish the CBG plants and harness the carbon opportunity. Only point I want to make is that your larger objective of reducing food loss will definitely provide much larger benefits in terms of emission reductions, and those emission reductions can contribute to countries' NDCs, nationally determined contributions. But doing this small thing, at least as a beginning, can add to your market's revenues significantly. CBG not only gives the CBG revenue, but also the carbon revenue. So a 5 TPD plant can bring in a revenue to the market at least of the order of a crore and a half or something like that every year. That's what my back of the envelope calculation shows. So that will be wonderful if you take a very quick action.
Thank you so much. And we've created more work for you, Dr. Yadav. So last word, Dheeraj.
Yeah, I would like to make two quick points. One is on scale up, because we've got enough examples now that the numbers that we are talking about are not just on paper and are not theory. They are in practice. Cities and markets are earning revenue out of it. Surat is an example, right? Indore is one. So scale up. And I guess I recently saw the Madhya Pradesh state government trying to empanel a sub-national level waste agency for them to work at a sub-national level. So because cities are taking care of the waste from a city's perspective, but APMCs are under the sub-national government, so that makes one thing easier. So that's on scale up. The second point is that I feel we should not be also following the rule book very blindly. And I'm going to go beyond a little bit beyond these mandis. What we saw and experienced from Ahmedabad is the mandis were, say, generating 20 tons of waste in the city. But then there are other small vegetable and fruit sellers across the city, which they themselves do not categorize under bulk waste generators because they are not generating that amount of waste. But they are located in such vicinity that if you look at them as a cluster, they are generating much more. They are bigger than the many big of the bulk waste generators. But just because we are following it, no, this is not a bulk waste generator, so they take care of their own waste. We're not looking the kind of waste that we are wanting from them. And we did that in Ahmedabad and figured out that the waste that these clusters were generating was 3 times than the markets were generating. And they both were parallelly trying to divert it and process it, while they could have done it together and achieve the scale of economies. So I guess that's also something that we need to look at.
Very good. Absolutely true that once you start something at a wholesale market, you create a demand for quote unquote waste and then, collect it from the other sources or a sector. Thank you very much. This is a very rich panel, and any burning questions, we can take 2 or 3 questions and then discuss later. So the lady there.
Thank you, everybody. So we've been talking a lot about bio-CNG, and we've been talking a lot about how, at scale, of course, bio-CNG is a great solution to manage the food waste. What we often do not talk about is what does it take to actually create that methane output. When we talk about circularity of solutions, we need to look at it holistically. Now, practically speaking, what we have seen, and we also work with food waste, is that every, let's say, 1 ton of food waste that goes in will require an additional 1,000 liters or so of water, and it will produce 2,000 kgs, that is 2 tons of slurry at the end. So 1 ton of food waste is producing 2 tons of slurry at the end, which needs to be managed. That is one of the main reasons why bio-CNG plants have not been able to scale up. What are your thoughts on that? What are the possible potential pathways of managing and scaling that up?
Thank you. Thank you. Good question. In fact, you must have come across the recent Government of India notification of liquid fermented fertilizer and solid fertilizer, both, but for fermented fertilizer. And now in both of these both forms are available at the end. You want that end product should also be scientifically managed. Yes. Now, say for example, Surat also they are establishing a granule forming plant there itself. So I understand salary handling is a little difficult, but it's a fantastic fertilizer. It contains 20% carbon. And Government of India has set the benchmark of 14%. So it contains 20% carbon, whereas soil needs maximum 3% or so. My colleague scientists, they will let you know. So it's again hidden treasure. Number 3, Dr. Rambabu is saying, we are doing a project, I think Chairman Uttarakhand is there. I think he was sitting over here somewhere. We are doing a second project like Surat in now, and what the calculation we have done is, number 1, total for about 100 TPD plant, approximately it would be 45 crore of investment. Every year, by selling CBG would be around 20 crore. And then fertilizer would be 3 crore, this fermented fertilizer I'm saying. And then carbon credit, which Rambabu himself has calculated for us, is around 1 crore per year. So, मुझे बताएं कौन सा ऐसा मॉडल है जो 45 करोड़ लगा के 25 करोड़ आपको एक ही साल में दे रहा है? Can you give me another ROI model somewhere? And then you are probably highlighting that logistic for disposal of fertilizer would be a problem. I think now it's not. Thank you.
Just quickly, just to add on that point is that, sir rightly said, there is a notification out there. There is an economic sense that's there. The one thing that I feel is often missing is the right branding and marketing of the output products, right, to the farmers. So Indore plant we visited and like, okay, farmers come and take it, वो हो जाता है, मतलब हमारा काम हो जाता है. But that's not, they're not trying to take that seriously as a business model, which now they have. And with the notification, it will help a lot, because now there are guidelines on what this should contain, what is the carbon content, minimum acceptance rate and everything. So there is a little bit of streamlining around that, but branding and marketing of how you really take it ahead is the next thing, I guess.
So just one comment, not a question. What we have seen on the ground is slurry ends up in the landfill. What this means is that for saving 1 ton of food waste going to landfill, we are sending 2 tons of slurry to the landfill at the end, and we are marketing it as a bio-CNG plant. So these are the practical challenges that we really need to work on as a group.
Well noted. Please, the other question.
May I add
Yes,
one thing?
please.
Yeah, we and research we go little differently. The fertilizer circularity means the material should be flowing near the farm. Like the material should not be collected and centralized and then going back. So we work on those models. So we advocate those things like if we can process near to the production catchment majorly and the waste also process there, and if they can use, farmers can use, so some of those problems can be addressed.
Yeah, some of the entrepreneurs with whom we are talking and they have implemented the CBG, etc. They are all are very conscious about the post CBG waste, and which is a significant quantum, which is not a small quantum as the whoever pointed out in the audience have pointed out. That's really really true. But as the already panelists have answered, majority of it is almost now being taken as a fertilizer or soil conditioning. So it is finding its route to soil conditioning, and I think it is the whole process is also getting streamlined. So it will happen that way, but definitely the impact has to be seen at a life cycle level. Yes, so much of water consumption that needs to be looked at, and there are various entrepreneurs are looking into it and also trying to optimize the whole process. So that's all.
Thank you. So you got so many insights. Please.
I'm K.K. Roy Chaudhary, energy expert. Uh, how about applying the concept of carbon credits for farmers who are unable to implement cold storage? How about applying the concept so decentralized renewable energy, where grid power is not available. If available, it is costlier to them. That's all.
If I am allowed, for short of time, I didn't point out there is going to be a domestic market and there is going to be one international market. Domestic market is that the measures that we have taken, which do not belong to 13 categories notified by Government of India, but they can be used within the country to meet our own nationally determined contributions, are part of the domestic market. And the 13 categories like CBG is one amongst them, okay, which are for international markets. Yes, much of the activities that you are talking about and this conference is also deliberating upon, which is also reducing the food loss and in variety of, along the value chain, in variety of ways. And most of it actually will contribute to Government of India's nationally determined contribution, and which most of it will also become a part of the India's domestic carbon market. And yes, the domestic carbon market credits can be thought of in all these measures.
Thank you. Did you want to respond to the question?
He has said about cold storages also. Yeah, cold storages, what we see is for renewable energy, solar based cold storages are there. But if we take this, we are thinking of taking this forward through PACS, Primary Agriculture Credit Societies, where our infusion of technologies like warehouse receipt systems, if you have digital listing, when glut is there, the farmer need not to own these things, but collectively they own as a cooperative, and they can put in these cold storage and through warehouse receipts. That is one way of scaling the things, cold storage issue.
Okay, so since I don't see any hands up, I think we can close the session, but I will just take the last 1 minute to share some food for thought. Globally, in the work on urban food systems and wholesale markets also serve as the kitchen where the school meals are prepared. So there are kitchens inside of the wholesale markets which are catering to the schools in that municipality, because most times in many countries, the municipalities is responsible for school feeding and also responsible for the wholesale market. So that aspect of the wholesale markets is usually not much discussed. So I wanted to share that as a food for thought, also to inspire our wholesale markets to see the linkages with food banking. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and we are all available if you have any other questions. I will hand it over back to the...
Thank you, Dr. Meeta, and thank you to all our panelists for such an insightful discussion. May I now request all our panelists and moderator to kindly join us for the group photograph, and also request Sri Ramkumar Gautam to join us at this stage.